Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of RCW. So, it's been a while. I mean, a few days anyway. I haven't really done anything as far as streaming wise, because I'm back in college now. So, um, school started yesterday, it's 31st, and um, reason being was I was trying to figure out everything. I was trying to figure out, like, how I wanted to go about this, like how I wanted to manage um the workload of college and uh figuring out scheduling um and everything. So that was something that I had to consider, which is why I was kind of deciding, like, what days do I want to stream, like, during the week, because normally I stream during the week. I don't necessarily um stream other than streaming during the week. So because of that, um I had to, like, kind of take a little bit of a break and kind of figure out what I wanted to do. So as far as the schedule goes, Fridays are still going to remain on the schedule. They're just going to be earlier. Um, I'll be streaming a couple hours earlier, maybe 2 to 3 hours earlier than my usual 2 p.m. EST. I have class today, so I have to stream a little bit earlier. Luckily, I don't have any, like, early classes, like way too early classes. Most of my classes are in the early afternoon, not like late morning or early morning. So, I have more to work around, and everything is on Zoom, so it's easier to do it that way. Um, Real quick before we get into the show and everything, I want to first of all I want to thank Superfluish's Gaming Superflu. I want to thank him for his help on getting my audio right and everything. Because I wanted to make sure that I have audio correct and everything else, and making sure that well I have everything that I need to have um correctly, because if you don't have audio correct, it's kind of it kind of defeats the purpose of watching a stream. Nobody really wants to watch a stream with bad audio. So he was helping me make it a little bit better, so hopefully it sounds a little bit better for you guys, and all that. So I'm really happy about that. Also, we had started Turnbuckle TV, TBTV for short, a podcast, a wrestling podcast in which we talk about wrestling. It's kind of like the Angle podcast. However, um, at Turnbuckle TV, we do things a little bit differently. We do watch-alongs for pay-per-views. So we did WWE Payback. We did that, and we watched along with it. We talked about the storylines that were happening. We talked about the matches as they were going on, and then to kind of like close it out, we were talking about the character Bryan Outlaw, and we were talking about our overall thoughts on the match and where we hope certain storylines go, and things like that. I really like that because it's different from your typical podcast where you have like a topic and you're just talking about it, which is kind of what the Angle podcast is, where we have a topic and we talk about it for like an hour and a half. I really liked it because one, it was like under 2 hours, under 2 to 3 hours, which is what we're trying to keep it under, and it's really cool because, Superflu and I both, we love wrestling, but, I watch everything wrestling, whereas he kind of watches, the WWE, Raw, and SmackDown. I watch, AEW and, everything else, so you kind of get a mixture of all of our inputs, and this Saturday is AEW All Out, so him and I will be covering that pay-per-view. We will be watching that pay-per-view together on Saturday, and talking about that week in wrestling and what's going on in AEW specifically. Obviously, I know the show a little bit more than he does, so but it'll still be fun. He said that he'll be checking out AEW a little bit more to kind of educate himself on that, and we'll be helping out each other. Coffee's still a little hot there. But that's kind of where we're at right now. With all of that, turns out we both streamed it, and it was kind of a test of internet connection. It was a test of, obviously, if you were here for my RCW Freefall pay-per-view, we had 2 disconnects, and we had a couple disconnects through the past couple of streams, and I was wondering what was going on, whether it was, my internet or whatever, but it seemed like last stream we didn't really experience a lot of problems, like full-on disconnects, and I turned on disconnection protection, so we should be even more protected against that now. But I got a little bit of a story for you guys before we do the show here. So I know I usually like to kind of recap, especially after I've spent a couple days away from content creation or from streaming. So Paris's new album "Use Me" came out Friday. This past Friday, and I myself, I bought it. I actually bought the physical copy of it, and I listened to it on Spotify. And it was a very moving album. It was a very powerful album. The album got delayed like 2 or 3 times, and I was just happy that it was finally released and finally out there. I think Lynn too was really happy about that. But one of the things that I wanted to tell you guys about was, I remember Lynn was doing a Instagram live stream, and I went in there and I was listening to what she was doing, and she recognized me again, which was pretty cool, because I'll be going to their tour when it resumes in 2021 next year, and it was pretty cool that she recognized me. I asked her a couple things, how she was doing, because she has 2 autoimmune diseases, one of them being Crohn's, and the other one, I can't pronounce it, but it causes severe back pain and nerve and other things, and during a pandemic, people with underlying health conditions could be at risk for this virus. So I was asking how she was doing mentally and physically, and seeing how she was doing. She's doing good, so I'm happy that she's in a better headspace, and the album is out, and it's a very, very moving album, and I highly suggest you listen to it. Even if it's not your cup of tea, because it's more of a less heavy, more pop synth kind of sound, but it's a very moving album. It really is. Lyrically, it really is, and a lot of the songs, kind of stuck with me, and one of them is "Good to Be Alive," and it's a song about her going through her autoimmune diseases and her physical health struggles, mental health struggles, and how she's grateful to be alive, but she says feels good to be alive, but I hate my life. Is one of the parts of the chorus. And it's not supposed to be like a really dark thing. It's really supposed to be one of those things that is, that where you're happy of the life that you live, but you wish you didn't have the struggles that you have. So it's kind of like I love my life, but I hate that I have to deal with this crap every day. And it's kind of, and I feel that 100% with the medical issues that I have to deal with every day. And, getting up in the morning and doing the most basic things in the world are harder for me due to, my situation. So, I really related to that, and that really resonated with me, and that was a really good. I love that song. I absolutely adore that song. It's a great song, and it was just really cool that she was able to recognize me again, and we were able to have some laughs, and what I did for her 3 years ago was I gave her my Twitter handle, and basically my Twitter handle is pretty much the same through all my social medias, and I gave it to her because I wanted to be that person to help. I wanted to be somebody that could, even though she is a celebrity after all. What's up, Blind Hostility? What's going on? So even though that I don't know her personally, I don't know Lynn on a personal level because I've only met them through going to concerts. I've only met the band twice going to concerts. But I feel like with music there is a huge like emotional connection that you can have to it. And music is one of those things that is open to interpretation. Like, it can mean many different things to many different people. And so I think it's one of those things where, even though you don't know the artist, you feel so connected with them. My favorite band, Paris, here, I'll post a link in chat here. I'll post a link to their newest album that I was just talking about a couple seconds ago. I just gotta find it. It should be in my playlist here. Copy album link. Pretty much almost everybody has Spotify nowadays. So, or Apple Music, one of the two streaming services. So there's the newest album. It's a great album. Definitely, I prefer their heavier stuff. I prefer their first album, but that's just me. Not to say that album isn't great, but it is great. Even though I've only met them twice, I've only had interactions with Lynn physically twice. Like face-to-face thing twice. But many interactions since then on social media because of, those two interactions that we had physically. It's been, I think, 3 years since I last seen Lynn, or it will be 3 years when I meet her again in 2021, and next year. Paris, it's Paris. It's just with a V, because they had to change it because of copyright reasons. But yeah, I think it's a very special thing when you can have a connection like that through music or through any art form, wrestling, whatever it is. When something gravitates to you when you need it most. Because for me, I don't talk about my emotions at all. Like, I don't do that. That's not the kind of thing that I do. And so a lot of these, storylines that you guys see on the show and everything, that a lot of that's kind of my outlet. That's kind of how I do things. I talk through Bryan Outlaw. I talk what I'm mad about through his character and everything else. Because if I feel like if I do it as myself, and I do it like publicly on social media, like how social media is, so I kind of stay away from it. But as a character, it's totally different. But yeah, I absolutely love the album, and I can't wait to see her again. It's gonna be fun. I just hope that she stays healthy and staying safe and staying away from this virus and all that. So it was good to get to talk to her again in an Instagram live stream, and apparently I owe her a drink. Apparently, so. I told her I'd buy her one. So, you know what? I'm going to follow through on that. I'll bring my card with me and I'll, get her a drink. But, yeah, that's just a little story I have because I thought that was kind of cool. That happened to me recently, a couple days ago. So, the album is great. Definitely worth a listen. Like I said, even if it's not your cup of tea, I highly suggest listening to it because lyrically, it's a very, very powerful album. Very, very powerful. Even if I'm not into a certain genre of music, I can appreciate when somebody pours their heart out in their music. And for me, I've always been that darker, heavier song kind of person. Like, I don't know what it is. I don't really listen to a lot of what you would call happy music. I really think that in times of struggle and in times of sadness and being upset and not being happy or you're going through a rough time, I feel like you think a lot more. You know what I mean? Because you think, why am I upset? What do I do to get better? And I was in Boothy's stream, Boothiful, who is one of my good friends, and he does this thing called Mental Health Monday where he talks about mental health. And one of the videos that I saw him watch was shared by one of his viewers in chat, and it was empathy versus sympathy. And it talked about how a lot of people, when it comes to like empathy and sympathy, they say, well, at least you have this. By using the words at least, you're kind of undermining the person's problem, saying, well, you should be grateful for this. When really a person needs a friend and needs that, support. Like, you may not think that you're, undermining somebody, but I never thought of it that way. Because I've used it a lot. Well, at least you have this, or at least I never realized, like, the kind of perception that a person may be feeling. That perception that person may be feeling from. So... I've always been a fan of their music because, I was in that place where I hit, rock bottom in 2017. I didn't want to do anything. I wasn't around anybody. And so, I guess streaming has caused me to open up my shell a little bit, if you will. And doing this show has definitely helped with it too as well. And it's something awesome. And thank you, Natalia, for the follow. I appreciate it. It's a beautiful thing how because I've met a lot of streamers who are like shy people. They are like physically they can't find themselves in a social situation, but because of you being able to just talk and whatnot, and not have that face-to-face interaction, all the anxiety or whatever that comes with face-to-face social interaction, and because of the pandemic, it's kind of hard to do that now. I think it's a beautiful thing when you can find different things to, I guess, help yourself. Right now I'm going to therapy, and I go to therapy for anxiety and depression and things like that. And I probably wouldn't have been doing that if I didn't if I didn't meet Paris back in 2017. I'd probably be still in the same spot. So I've been good, Natalia. I've been good. Good as I'll ever be. Honest to God. I'm praying every day that this freaking thing's gonna be over. And I'm in my last semester of college, and I graduate next year. I got a ton of shit to look forward to in 2021, and I'm just trying to remain positive. I know it's been a rough year for everybody. With not going to concerts, not doing, the fun stuff that we normally do, but I always try to think positive, and I always try to think, hey, in 2021, we will be able to go to those concerts again. And we will be able to do these things again. And all that. I know for Leeds Festival, which is a festival in the UK, they're gonna do it next year. It's like this big concert festival, and they said that they will administer virus testing if needed, and they will, they'll make sure that it goes on next year. So I'm excited. I'm freaking excited. I'm like over the moon, honestly. But let's get to the show, guys. I appreciate you guys sticking with me. I just thought I'd give you guys kind of like an update of what's going on. I know it's been a while since I've been on stream like for this show and everything, and we did the podcast on Sunday with Superflu. So make sure to tune into that on Saturday when we go cover AEW All Out, which that's going to be awesome. So definitely keep an eye out for that. But let's get to our first match. Finally, Luna Outlaw versus Toni Storm, as Luna Outlaw had won the RCW Women's title over Ariel. And so now she has it back. And now she looks ahead, that is. And as we are on the road to RCW Ascend, which is our Season 8 finale. I can't believe I'm saying that. But we are officially now 9 episodes away from our finale of Season 8. And this show has been going on for 2 years now, and it's crazy how it has evolved over time. It's pretty nuts. But let's get to this match, folks. And for those of you who haven't seen my transition yet, I guarantee you guys are going to like this. See, that's a transition that I got done for $30 on Fiverr by this designer. And I highly recommend the website Fiverr, as it is a great website for freelance workers. It's also a great website for streamers and anybody looking to get like artwork done or just about anything done. You can find it, and it's kind of a website where you pay your own price. You have a budget, and it's catered to you. You can also post requests saying, "Hey, I need this done," and there are many designers that can offer you an offer based on your budget and within your time frame. So if you need it done within 5 days or you need it done within 3 days, it is a really, really helpful website. It also is a good way for freelance workers. I consider myself a freelancer, somebody who does graphic design and voice acting and tons of other things on the side. So it's a really good way for those types of people to make a little bit of extra money, and it's a great thing for everybody. And in the end, it's a great way for you to find somebody to do artwork that you need to get done. As we have Toni Storm making her way out here now. Toni Storm and Luna Outlaw met in that match, and it was a number 1 contenders match for the RCW Women's title, and Luna came out with the victory in that one. But Toni Storm was in that match, and she was one of the final 3 in that match. It was Toni Storm, and I believe it was Asuka along with Luna, that were the final 3 women in that match, and it was a elimination match. But Toni Storm looks to put that loss behind her and possibly gain a title opportunity for herself, and what a way to do that here if she's able to beat the RCW Women's Champion. So you have Luna Outlaw there and Toni Storm ready to go here. We are underway here in this match. Luna Outlaw and Toni Storm, as Luna gets met with a knee there and a big boot to start this one off. It's Toni Storm now trying to work on the arm real quick here. And a stomp to the arm of Luna. I keep saying aerial because I always get those two mixed up all the time. I don't know what it is. I think I would have Luna down on Pat right now. But all the disrespect, kick to the side of the face there. Luna, though, taking her down. I don't know how much of that kick she got there, but it did the job nonetheless. Irish whip to the apron and a drop kick to the outside. There's Toni Storm now. Is reeling here on the outside. Whitney White watching on. Now I don't know. This, the nature of the relationship of Luna and Whitney. But I guess crazy minds, great minds think alike. Is that the saying? Or like minds think alike or whatever? Well, I would say more or less crazy minds think alike as a rear clothesline there to Toni Storm as Luna Outlaw now with an Irish whip into the corner there. Now a huge stomp to the arm of Toni Storm now as Luna Outlaw trying to find a way to get Toni Storm down for this 3 count here. Irish whip into the corner, tried for a drop kick to the back, but Toni Storm easily able to reverse that. Irish whip into the ropes and another big boot again, sending her down. Keep in mind this every match means everything here on RCW, so Toni Storm, if she's able to get a pin here, we could totally see these two meet for a title shot, and Toni Storm again taking down the champion. All around the ring here, we have the RCW affiliates, the NWO Wrestling, managed by Deftest Violator. EWL, managed by Sakate. The AFK, managed by Natalia, and the BCW, managed by Young Sin. So we have a great line of E-Feds here, and we'd like to have a huge wrestling community here on Twitch. So we'd like to try and bring the wrestling gaming community together as a DDT here to Luna. And a cover here, a 1 count here, and a kick out at 1. Now Luna Outlaw trying to get out of this predicament here, breaking out of this hold. Breaking out of this hold here now. Gonna line her up for the Into the Shadows submission, but Toni Storm able to get out of it with that elbow. And now Toni Storm on the comeback here, looking to pump herself up and get back in this match. And a kick right to the back of the leg of Luna here. The referee got involved there, got a little bit of that Irish whip. Toni Storm, what's she going for here? The hip attack in the corner. Right to the face of Luna, but Toni Storm, as Whitney White trying to distract the referee, and she does. She distracts the referee enough so that Toni Storm cannot go for that cover. But now she's looking for Storm Zero here. Luna able to reverse. Luna able to reverse here. And a drop kick to Toni Storm now. Kicks to the midsection of Luna there, and a punch to the midsection. Now Toni Storm looking to fire back again, trying for that back elbow in the corner, but Luna easily able to sidestep that. And now looking for a suplex here on Toni Storm. Uh-oh, what's Luna going for here? Possibly looking for that pile driver. Toni Storm, though, able to reverse it. These women going back and forth here. Toni and Luna already know each other pretty well after that match. Like I mentioned earlier, these two met in a #1 contenders match, being the final 3 competitors, along with Asuka. Is now Toni looking for Storm Zero again, but another knee to the side of the head of Toni Storm. Now Luna looking to stretch out the back of Toni Storm here. And now right in the face as Luna looking to pump herself up back in this match. Both of these women beaten up. Running out of energy here, but it doesn't seem like Luna is. She very quickly gets back in this match here. And looking for a blackout striking combination there. And the referee, he didn't like the look of that. As you can tell by him putting his hand in front of his face there. Now going for the cover here right in the middle of the ring. 1, 2, 3. And Luna's able to get the victory just like that, with a blackout striking combination. Unfortunately for Toni Storm, she falls short yet again against Luna here. But nonetheless, I'm pretty sure Toni Storm, she's got bigger problems ahead, as her and the Galaxy's greatest alien, Chris Statlander, went at it last time. And it was one of those, it was a match definitely for the ages there, so definitely make sure you check that one out. As we move on to our next match, folks, as we go over to the break screen. As we have Young Sin and Big Nasty in our next match, folks. Now, Big Nasty and Young Sin have had their back and forth rivalry. They've had that, their spats. But how we settle things is here in the ring. Here on RCW, that is how we settle things here. We have matches. If you got a problem with somebody, you do it inside the ring. You settle it inside the ring. That's what you are supposed to do. You settle it inside the ring. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. As we get to this next match, folks, it is Young Sin and Big Nasty. Here we go. Young Sin's got demons, and we all deal with them in mysterious ways as Young Sin comes out here. Now, it's very interesting here because Young Sin normally comes out here with Jason Outlaw. Jason Outlaw picked up a victory over Bryce Blackwell at the RCW Freefall pay-per-view in Toronto. Now, it is weird, though, that Jason is not out here with him. Maybe he said that, maybe Young Sin told him, I can handle this on my own. I don't need somebody out there with me. As Young Sin looks ready more than ever for Big Nasty. Now Big Nasty, he definitely, I'm surprised Young Sin is even moving. Because Big Nasty had hit that coast to coast in that tag team match with him and Chris Danger. Now, I don't know the nature of the relationship between Big Nasty and Chris Danger after that loss, but Big Nasty definitely was not happy about that. For sure. I mean, I think he'd prefer to tag with his brother Bryce Blackwell over Chris Danger, but Chris Danger chose Big Nasty. As now Big Nasty looks to put that behind him as he's got to focus on this match at hand, as it is Young Sin and Big Nasty. Here we go as we get underway. Now Big Nasty just throwing away Young Sin there like a rag doll here. Now looking for an inside cradle. Count of two here. Count of two, and almost got Young Sin just like that, but Young Sin's able to get the shoulder up at 2.5 there. That would have been quite an embarrassing result if that happened for Young Sin. Now Young Sin with a couple of right hands here. Young Sin able to get another right hand, but the big man is not down yet. And Big Nasty. Big Nasty possibly trying to take out all of his anger from that loss on Young Sin here, and he's just tossing Young Sin once again like a rag doll here. Young Sin's got to find a way to keep the big man grounded. He's not going to beat him in a strength battle here. Or Young Sin has got to use his quickness, and wow, what a knee to Big Nasty there. What a knee to Big Nasty. As Young Sin again tried for that shoulder tackle and definitely didn't work there. And Big Nasty with a rear clothesline in the corner. And Young Sin is in a bad way here. And now Big Nasty looking to get Young Sin to tap, but he uses the ropes to his advantage, able to get that rope break there. Now, Big Nasty, what a right hand. What a right hand to Young Sin, and now picking him up. Look at the power of Big Nasty. And now again, he's doing it again. He's looking to do it again. My God. Young Sin in a world of hurt right now. This has been all Big Nasty. Oh, but maybe I spoke too soon here as Young Sin trying to fight back. I don't know why he keeps trying to get Big Nasty to try and fight Big Nasty this way, but it's not going to work out for him as he goes down again. And now again, Young Sin. This might as well be a squash match here because Big Nasty is literally squashing Young Sin, but Young Sin is not giving up with a super kick right to the face. Now possibly looking for the heads in beds here, and he connects with the heads in bed. The heads in beds from Young Sin, and now Young Sin looking to turn it around into the sinister switch on Big Nasty. 1, 2, and Big Nasty got the shoulder up at 2.5. Big Nasty, the big man, is still alive in this matchup here. But just like that, Young Sin is turning the tables. It looked like Big Nasty was going to have a field day with Young Sin there, tossing him around like a rag doll as we've seen throughout this match, but it seems that Young Sin is getting some payback here, and you know what they say about payback. There's now Big Nasty with that senton. My God, that must be 300 plus pounds. And now Big Nasty with a nasty splash. With the nasty splash. on Young Sin. And now Nasty is looking for the nasty ending, but Young Sin able to get out of dodge. The quickness of Young Sin. And now the heads in bed to Big Nasty. The heads in bed to Big Nasty. Dragging him to the middle of the ring. Very wise here as he's looking to set up another sinister switch. And he's looking to set it up here. Another sinister switch on Big Nasty. Rolling right over into the pin. 1, 2. And Big Nasty again with the kick out. Big Nasty again with the monstrous kick out there from the big man. It's going to take a lot to get Big Nasty to stay down here. But he's continuing to work on the back and manipulating the joints of Big Nasty. As again, he's going after that back. If he's unable to lift up Young Sin for all those suplexes, all those slams, then Young Sin definitely has the advantage. But a chop there. And now Big Nasty. Oh no, Big Nasty. Big Nasty flying! Oh my god, Big Nasty just flew! A big man is not supposed to fly like that! And Big Nasty taking out Young Sin here on the outside. As Young Sin getting up, count of 3 here. We have countouts of 20 here under RCW rules as Big Nasty and Young Sin both get back in the ring, and a jawbreaker busting Big Nasty wide open. But he can't stop here. Can't stop, won't stop. He's got to keep going. As he keeps on going after that back. This is perfect here for Young Sin. The more blows to the back you can do, the better off you're going to be. Now Young Sin wondering what he needs to do here, and he's going to go up top here. He's going to go up top, looking for the frog splash on Big Nasty. What a splash on Big Nasty. 1, 2, and Big Nasty kicked out again. And now a couple of right hands to the face of Big Nasty. Looking for the heads in bed. Here on Big Nasty again with the heads in bed. Dark Man, what's up? Thank you for joining in. Appreciate you. Oh, but now Big Nasty was pissed off by that. And now Big Nasty with the right hands. Now going after a lackluster cover here on Young Sin. That's not going to take him down. Definitely not going to take him down here. Big Nasty bleeding profusely on the forehead, and a powerbomb to Young Sin. Big Nasty's not even allowing me to take a break to drink my coffee here. Is Big Nasty with a nasty splash in the corner. A nasty splash in the corner and just tossing Young Sin. Tossing Young Sin now into the cover here. 1, 2. And Young Sin barely getting the shoulder up. I play, Fixer. I play. Because I have a lot of custom storylines, and the only way to make sure that it ends in the way that I want it to is to play it. And the heads and beds here on Big Nasty. And now Young Sin again. Young Sin again looking to hit it. Again with a sinister switch. 1, 2, 3. And just like that, Young Sin battles back here against Big Nasty. Young Sin able to battle back against Big Nasty. And there's another check in the win column and another check in his bank account. As Young Sin is victorious here as we move on to our next match. As we go over to the break screen one more time. As now we have Sky Outlaw versus Deonna Purrazzo, the virtuosa Deonna Purrazzo, that is. Now Deonna has made her presence known with a couple of good wins. One of them being over Charlotte Flair in her debut, and Sky Outlaw herself looking to get back in that title picture now that Luna has the title back. You know, we've seen those two sisters face off against each other before, but it always seems different every time. It always seems different. One always tries to outsmart the other. And that's the whole goal in professional wrestling. Get some championship gold and prove you are the best. And all the Outlaws, they damn sure like to prove that. Our main event tonight is Seth Rollins and Bryan Outlaw. And that should be a great match. As Seth Rollins and Buddy Murphy lost the RCW Tag Team titles to Ali and Cedric Alexander at the RCW Freefall pay-per-view, and as they look to figure out what's going on there. But let's get to this match, folks. It is Sky Outlaw and the virtuosa Deonna Purrazzo. Spyver, thank you for the follow, man. I appreciate it. I love that alert, man. I love it. I love it. I love it. It's fantastic. Drew McIntyre's old theme. I like it so much better than his newer one. By the way, I think it's a good time as any as Sky Outlaw is coming out here to let you guys know about the charity streams coming up in October. So for the entire month of October, we will be raising money for No More, an organization dedicated to stopping sexual assault and domestic violence. As October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, we will be having a special arena that'll be all decked out in purple in honor of that month. As unfortunately, because of the pandemic, cases have gone up because abusers are in the homes, and it is very, very hard to escape those situations, and I can't imagine what some of the victims of it go through. You know, I was in an abusive relationship, not domestically, but She was pretty much at my house 24/7. I never got to really see the light of day in terms of, my own life. My entire life revolved around her as a person. My life was not important. Like, my own personal life was not important without her in it. All of the decisions that were made were solely made on her decisions. Like, on her. A lot of the decisions were, for me, were kind of impulse. Like, if I don't do this, she's going to be mad. If I don't do this, she's going to be mad. And luckily I'm out of that. I've been out of that for quite some time. And I really want to do my part and really help out a bunch of people. And so we will be doing those streams. We will be doing those. And they won't necessarily be like RCW streams like normal, where, there's commentary and there's things like that. Because a lot of times when I'm commentating the matches, it is like it's for the storylines, it's for everything else. But for these streams, I really wanted to focus on the task at hand, and that is, raising awareness of something that is very prevalent in our world, unfortunately, and more importantly, we all just need to be kind to each other, and, we all need to know when you're in a relationship, regardless what level of relationship that is, whether it's a friendship or whether it's a intimate relationship with you and a partner. We have to be weary of signs of abuse and bad things, because that's the one thing that I made a mistake, was I didn't realize, the kind of situation that I was in until it was too late. And so, fortunately for me, I got the support that I needed through therapy and everything else, and I got out of it. But unfortunately for some victims, they can't. It's harder for them to get out of it. And so yeah, we'll be raising money. We'll have a link up for you guys to donate to that. And yes, I do have my own donation page, but I ask you to make donations to that instead of my own donation page, as that is more important to me than me getting money to, I don't know, get better equipment for the streams or something. There's something that is definitely needs to be addressed, and I want to do my part and help. So for the entire month of October, we will be doing those. I haven't had a set goal. I'm thinking of like maybe 1,200 or 1,500 maybe. And we'll have that goal up here somewhere on the overlay side of things, and we'll have that goal up here somewhere. We may also play like other games as well, but too, maybe some games with friends, and hopefully I can contact some of the people like Slev and some of the other guys, and talk to them about it. And hopefully we could get multiple people here on this. And I know Deftist and Sakate, two really good friends of mine, that they're really wanting to help out with this as well. So please don't hesitate when that time comes, when we start doing those, to come out. Even if you can't donate, that's completely fine. You just being here and raising awareness of it, and allowing ourselves to be open, not just for people who have been through DV, but for mental health and things like that. And because that's what we need more than ever, is for an open ear for people to listen. And I've had people share their stories with me, very, very personal stories, and I'm honored to have that trust with some people, to be able to for them to be able to share those stories. And the whole my whole story with it, I decided to take it and put it into a series, put it into a YouTube series called Sky's the Limit, where it explores Sky Outlaw's backstory and her getting out of the bad relationship with her boyfriend Dave, and training in MMA, training to become a pro wrestler. And that story will also be in my book in greater detail, called Life on Lockdown, which is an autobiography mixed with fiction, talking about my life in the eyes of the Outlaw characters. So Bryan Outlaw, which is the character that I play, he talks about joining wrestling, and the MWE, the Manhattan Wrestling Entertainment, which is a show that I did a while back, and it was like a prequel to this RCW series, and you'll see some of the stuff from this series in the book. I believe the book will go through seasons 1 through 6, maybe, or 1 through 5. So if you've been here with me for the long haul, you'll see those stories be illustrated in the book. And it's very important to me because it's my very first written novel that I'll be working on. But I'm excited for that to be a thing. But that's kind of the spiel for that. So make sure you guys are there for that, and I'll be excited to do it. There's Deonna Purrazzo here, trying to get a win over Sky Outlaw with a count of 2 here, and Sky able to kick out. And Deonna cannot believe it there, the Virtuosa. Looking for the Fujiwara armbar here, looking to break the arm of Sky Outlaw. She's writhing in pain here as that armbar is locked in. But Sky using her submission training to be able to get out of that submission fairly quickly. But obviously, being in those holds for even 5 minutes, 2 to 5 minutes, that definitely could do some damage. And, as they say, has the damage already been done there? The Sky now with a hip attack in the corner to Deonna. Now Sky firing on all cylinders with her striking ability, but a kick to the midsection from Deonna Purrazzo, and another kick here. It's Deonna now. Deonna looking for the suplex here on Sky, and Sky able to slither out of the way there. Able to slither out of the way, and a neck breaker to Deonna Purrazzo. Now a couple of punches here after that moonsault from Sky Outlaw. And now Sky possibly looking to end this here. Looking for the Sky's the Limit driver as she rolls through into the pin. 1, 2, and Deonna kicked out at 2.5. Deonna able to kick out of the Sky's the Limit driver. Now dragging her to the middle of the ring as she remains lifeless right now. And Sky's looking to end this with one Skyfall from the top rope there, right in the middle of the ring. Perfectly connected there. Look at that replay. Just perfectly connected. Right onto the midsection of Deonna Purrazzo. 1, 2, 3, and Sky Outlaw gets the victory here. Sky Outlaw able to defeat the Virtuosa. Even though on the technical side, Deonna's got her beat. Sky using her quickness and her striking ability to get that victory there as Sky Outlaw with the victory on Deonna Purrazzo. As we move on to our next match here, as we go over to the break screen again. To be honest with you, I love that transition, man. I gotta love it. You gotta love it, man. It's amazing. It's simple. It's just cool. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. As our next match here is Ricochet versus Johnny Gargano. Now, this is a dream match here. But Ricochet is the men's lottery case winner. And in case you're not familiar with the men's lottery case, that is the equivalent to the Money in the Bank briefcase. But we do a little twist here. With the men's lottery case, the holder can decide whether or not they want to go after the World Championship or the Carnage Championship. The Carnage Championship being held by Darby Allin, and the World Championship being held by Bryan Outlaw. But, unfortunately for Ricochet, that case was stolen. Now, a lot of investigations have been happening. A lot of investigations have been happening as to who stole the case, who is responsible, so many things going on backstage. A lot of people think it's Kevin Owens. Some people think it's Bryan Outlaw because, I mean, if Bryan Outlaw were to steal the case, nobody can, surprise him or catch him off guard and cash it in. And that would... And, he would have every reason to steal it because then he could keep his championship. But, it's still to be determined, and I don't like to make assumptions, but, a lot of the fingers are pointing to either of those two men. But I'm pretty sure we will find out sooner than later as we have Ricochet versus Johnny Gargano. Here we go. As the one and only Ricochet, King Ricochet, Pretty Ricky is here. Like I mentioned, he is without his rightful men's lottery case due to it obviously being stolen, like I mentioned earlier. But I personally told him, because you earned this, even though you don't have the case in your possession, you can have a title shot at any time. Because that's what that case granted him, and since he doesn't have it, because of somebody decided to just, steal it for their own greed, this man definitely deserves a title shot. Either way, so either way, he's gonna get his title shot. It's Johnny Gargano. All heart, no soul. Johnny Gargano comes out here. Now, after turning his back on the RCW universe, Johnny Gargano is looking to possibly punch his ticket to a first title opportunity. I believe he hasn't had one in his time here on RCW, but nonetheless, anything can happen. As Johnny Wrestling is ready. And I'm pretty damn ready too as well, as we have Ricochet and Johnny Gargano. Here we go as we get this underway. Thank you, referee, for ringing us off here. And Ricochet able to take Johnny to the ground there, and another uppercut there. Start this one off. Oh, but Johnny with a kick to the midsection. And a flying forearm there right to the face of Ricochet, taking down Ricochet. Now it's going to be a battle of quickness here. There's a drop down here from Johnny. Irish whip into the corner here. Oh, but Ricochet turns that around into a drop kick. Wow. What agility from Ricochet. And oh, a powerbomb there from Johnny Gargano. And a couple of knees to the back of Johnny here. Of Johnny wrestling. There's only one way to do it, and it's the Gargano way, the Gargano way. However you want to pronounce it, and Ricochet's... He does not like that for sure. No, I'm pretty sure he's got a few words here for Johnny, but, you know, no time for words. No more words here. Shades of Jeff Hardy, no more words. Just fists. Ricochet definitely proven his worth here against Johnny Gargano with that spine buster, and he is fired up. Now, I asked Ricochet personally how he feels about about all that opportunity being taken from him as a moonsault there. And he told me it's a shame that people, you know, want to take things from you that you rightfully earn. But, you know, he is very happy to just even have that title shot despite not having it, not being in control of when it happens. In terms of the money or the lottery case rules, because with a lottery case, you have the opportunity at any point to make it a title match. You know, as the booker, I have to make it a title match, you know. So, you know, for Ricochet, that could definitely benefit him. But, you know, I think Ricochet, he's very grateful. So he's just grateful to be here. And, you know, he's been very supportive through the whole investigation as a kick right to the side of the head. It's Johnny Gargano firing back here as he's got Ricochet in the corner. Looking for that long dart in the corner, launching Ricochet face first into that middle turnbuckle there. 1, 2, Ricochet with a kick out at 2.5. Johnny Gargano thought he had Ricochet down for the 3 count there. So close, but no cigar. And a Gargano escape here, and Ricochet able to get his arm, I think it was underneath the rope there. Maybe his foot. Nonetheless, it was a rope break that saved Ricochet. Uppercut there to Gargano. And a Northern Lights suplex rolling through now. Taking down Johnny. But Johnny Gargano again coming back here. As he takes down Ricochet to the mat. And now Johnny now again lifting up Ricochet and slamming the back of his head into the canvas here. Now a shot right to the head there with that elbow, and I think that busted Ricochet wide open. Ricochet is bleeding, but that may have been a second wind. But Johnny Gargano with the Hurricane Rana stopping that real quick. Double leg takedown there from Ricochet. And Ricochet is tired. He's wondering what he needs to do here to put Johnny away. And a flatliner there. A flatliner. A flatliner on Johnny Gargano. 1, 2. And Johnny with a kick out at 2. Johnny kicked out at 2.5. Uh-oh. Ricochet, though. Ricochet looking to go up top, but Johnny is there to meet him with that drop kick. And now Johnny looking to do something dangerous. Johnny! My God! Johnny takes down Ricochet. Johnny just took down Ricochet from the top rope. And a super kick right to the midsection, though. It doesn't seem to affect Ricochet at all. Maybe the heart and the drive is driving Ricochet, but a clothesline to the outside, and Johnny is firing on all cylinders as the referee starts with a count of 1. Remember, these two have a count of 20 here. These two can spend quite a little bit of time here on the outside as a kick to the midsection of Ricochet. Trying for that elbow. Ricochet dodged it out of the way, and another uppercut here. Kick to the midsection, though, of Ricochet, and a drop kick right again to Ricochet. Rolling Sabat kick there from Johnny, and another elbow from Johnny Gargano. Another one. Further busting open that cut of Ricochet on the forehead. And now again, taking his forehead and shoving it right on the apron. Count of 10 there. Both men now finally getting back in the ring. Oh, but an elbow of his own. These two just going back and forth now. Tiring each other out. And he dropped him down. Johnny is winded, as you can tell. But now Johnny, again trying to loosen up that back for the Gargano escape, but he might be going for this instead. He might be going for that super kick right to the face, but Ricochet got out of the way. Ricochet able to duck out of the way. But Johnny firing back. Johnny takeover. Johnny wrestling. Not allowing him to have it that easy. And another elbow right to the head. Into the cover here. 1, 2. And Ricochet got the shoulder up just in time. But Ricochet is getting tired. Think about it. Think about how much energy you are letting go of when you kick out, when you have to lift that shoulder up. Having to do all these moves as a super kick to the face of Gargano, and now he's busted open. He is busted open now. Both men are bleeding. But Ricochet knows what he needs to do. Ricochet knows what he needs to do here. 630. 630 senton onto Gargano. 1, 2, and Johnny kicked out. Johnny kicked out of the 630 senton, and Ricochet can't believe it. And he's going up for another one. He's trying to go up for another one, and he lands the 630 senton again. 1, 2, 3, and Ricochet able to defeat Johnny Gargano here in this match. And what momentum he has there, despite not having his lottery case right now. He has momentum going into a future title shot. As that man won the lottery case, and like I mentioned, despite him not having it anymore, he deserves a title shot because he went up and earned that lottery case just like everyone else in that match. As wrestling superhero wins this match here as we move on to our next one as we go over to the break screen. As we have our main event of the evening here. We have our main event of the evening. Bryan Outlaw versus the Monday Night Messiah in Seth Rollins. RCW's Messiah, that is, here. And this is very interesting here. Because Bryan Outlaw, you know, he no longer has that lottery case to worry about, really. I mean, somebody stole it, so somebody still has it, but the rightful owner doesn't have it, so it's considered invalid. It's like voided, basically. It's not valid considering it was stolen and Ricochet doesn't have it right now. Specifically for that reason. So Bryan Outlaw, he could be safe here, but maybe not. We'll find out here in just a few moments as we have Bryan Outlaw versus Seth Rollins. Here we go. As Bryan Outlaw, the RCW World Champion, makes his way to the ring, and you see by that shirt it says "I'm so over," but you can't see the over part because it's covered up by the title. You can get that at my merch store. There's a Teespring store down in the panels. You can scroll through the products if you'd like, or you can use the command store in chat, and the bot will give you a direct link to the store. A percentage of that money goes to me. I try to make it cheaper for you guys because, you know, it's not about the money for me. I want you guys to have some really dope-ass shirts, and, you know, I know some, you know, people can overcharge for shirts and stuff, and you know, shirts can be expensive and things like that. They go for about $15. I try to keep them cheap for you guys. So if you want to grab that shirt, you can grab it. It's available in all sizes. It's a unisex shirt, so go ahead and grab that if you want to go ahead and do that, you can. Feel free to also send me a screenshot of you in these shirts as well. If you'd like to. I would always like seeing people rep the merch. It's Seth Rollins coming out without that RCW tag title. As I mentioned, he lost it along with Buddy Murphy against Ali and Cedric Alexander. Seth Rollins gets ready to go. Will Bryan Outlaw be on the sacrifice list? Will he be sacrificed for the greater good? We are about to find out in just a few short moments here, folks. But let's get this underway here. As we have Bryan Outlaw and Seth Rollins. Here we go, main event. In a big boot here to Seth Rollins. Like I mentioned, a little bit of history here for you guys. Seth Rollins and Bryan Outlaw know each other very well, as Rollins was the one that trained Bryan Outlaw here to come to RCW. All the way back in season 1, he had trained him to come here. I've had you up on Lurk, by the way, like an hour or so. I was late for work. Wow, that's bad, dude. You can't be late for work, Superflu. That's bad. But thank you for leaving me up on Lurk here. I appreciate it. I appreciate all the support that I get from everybody. Lurkers, active chatters, anybody that supports the stream in any way possible is fantastic. And I know that's been something that's been circulating around Twitter and circulating in the community lately. You know, what it means to support a stream. And I always try to be there for people's streams, whether it's, you know, lurking or, you know, simply chatting for a good 5 to 10 minutes, you know, and hanging out for a bit. You know, I always like doing that. Showing my support for other people's streams and all that, and trying to help other people and trying to get rid of the toxic people. And, you know, because with the internet, it can be a toxic place sometimes, and we always like to support each other and love each other. So, you know, it's really nice to, you know some really awesome people like Sled, Superflu, and Toni, and all those guys. And definitely check out those guys, as well as a Rope fist drop here to the Messiah. And now a super kick right to Seth Rollins here. Super kick right to the face of Seth Rollins. And now a cover here. 1, 2. And Seth Rollins with a kick out at 2.5. Seth Rollins with the ability to kick out at 2.5 here. And a leg drop there to Seth Rollins. And now Bryan Outlaw going up top here. Not going for the jailbreak DDT just yet for the 630. And he crashed and burned as Seth Rollins moved out of the way. And Seth Rollins looking to get the win early. And oh, kick out at 2.5. And now Seth Rollins trying to submit Bryan Outlaw here. Trying to get the champ to tap out. Imagine if that were to happen. Seth Rollins would earn himself a guaranteed title shot here. And a Michinoku driver there onto Seth Rollins and a kick out at 1. And these two know each other very well. As I mentioned, they were training partners. Tried for a super kick there. But Bryan sidestepped it into another Michinoku driver. Now a couple of knees to the head. But Seth Rollins with the dragon screw leg whip there. Seth now with a super kick of his own to Bryan Outlaw. And that dropped the RCW World Champion count of 2. And a kick out. And Seth Rollins thought he had Bryan Outlaw there. He thought he had his best friend in Bryan. Because these two are still friends no matter what happens. As Bryan with a reversal as Seth Rollins was looking for that curb stop. But he's going to turn it around into a guilty verdict. A variation of the Crossroads. We know how Bryan Outlaw and Cody Rhodes have been. Those two absolutely can't stand each other. As he's going for the cover here right in the middle of the ring. And Seth Rollins with the kick out. As Bryan is ascending to the top rope, looking to hit that patented jailbreak DDT, which has earned him so many titles in the past. But Seth Rollins sidesteps the jailbreak DDT, and now Seth Rollins is in the driver's seat now. Seth Rollins drops Bryan Outlaw into the cover. 1, 2, he's got him, no! Seth Rollins now, he's got Bryan in perfect position here. But Seth Rollins with the elbow drop. I thought he might be going for the frog splash, but Bryan able to roll over. Now Seth Rollins looking to go up top. Seth Rollins for that frog splash. 1, 2, and Bryan kicked out. Bryan kicked out of the frog splash as Seth Rollins is livid. He's looking. What does he need to do? But Seth Rollins, Bryan Outlaw got up to his feet. Seth Rollins definitely wasn't expecting that there as a drop kick. And another drop kick there. But Seth Rollins with the ability to stop Bryan Outlaw right in his tracks there. A double leg takedown there. As these two are going back and forth in this match. Bryan Outlaw doing a little bit of flexing for the crowd. He can't think about that right now because Seth Rollins took a little bit too long. As now Seth Rollins has Bryan right where he wants him. Bryan sometimes can get a bit too egotistical, but a curb stomp! A curb stomp and then busted Bryan wide open. 1, 2, and Bryan kicked out of the curb stomp. Bryan kicked out of the curb stomp. Seth Rollins is fired up. Sling blade to Bryan Outlaw. And now Rollins Rollins again trying to go for that frog splash. Rollins gets met with knees. Bryan got the knees up, and oh, what a knee to the face of Seth Rollins. And a body slam there, and that knee may have busted him wide open, and I think it did. Both of these men going back and forth here. Oh, but Bryan with a couple of knees right to the head again, further busting open that cut, and another one. Seth Rollins looking to recuperate here on the outside. Seth Rollins. Oh, and Bryan launches himself. Bryan launched himself. I don't think I've ever seen him do that before. He launched himself right onto Seth Rollins. And now he throws him right into the ring post. Face first. My God, what a match, folks. This is our main event of the evening, and these two are beating the living hell out of each other. And then some. And oh, what a correction there to Seth Rollins. These two have a count of 20. As Bryan Outlaw is doing a little bit of redecorating here. As he gets back in the ring. And then right back outside to reset the count again. Oh, and he's looking to take down Seth Rollins with a side Russian leg sweep. As he takes down Seth Rollins with that side Russian leg sweep here. Seth Rollins, though, coming back. Seth Rollins bleeding more profusely than Bryan, but I think he's going to bleed just a little bit more now. After Bryan went face first right on the concrete. Both men now in the ring. The drop kick right to the side of the head there of Rollins. And now Rollins is in the guilty verdict again. Now Bryan dragging his friend to the middle of the ring. 1, 2, and Rollins kicked out at 2. Rollins had kicked out of the guilty verdict. And a guillotine. As these two are going back and forth. Oh no! Bryan, again, the curb stop, 1, 2, 3, and Rollins with the victory. But what is this? It's Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens, he's got the lottery case. I knew it. I knew that Kevin Owens stole that. I knew it. I said earlier that Kevin Owens had to be one of the culprits. And now Bryan's got to wrestle another match. This is the championship match. By the way, bleeding all. So we have another match. It was our main event, and now we have another one. Consider this a bonus. Consider this a bonus match here. Might as well be one. As Kevin Owens is beating the living hell out of his former friend. These two faced off for the RCW World Championship. Kevin Owens coming up short. But Bryan Outlaw had turned his back on Kevin Owens. These two were friends. He said, come back to RCW and I'll give you a title shot. And then for some reason, Bryan just turned his back on KO. Rusev Day ruled. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. The history between these two. It's all come down to this. And Kevin Owens, he is not the rightful owner of the lottery case. I don't know what he thinks here. I said earlier that Ricochet was the rightful owner. Ricochet's the one who got it. So, even though that this match is technically a world championship match, Kevin Owens, he may not know this, and I don't think he does. Since it's not rightfully his, essentially this match almost means like nothing. I don't know what the purpose was. You know, maybe he thought, oh, I'm gonna steal the lottery case, because I didn't win that match. He was in the men's lottery case ladder match. He was in that match, but he didn't win. Under RCW rules, by the way, we have a count out of 20. So these two can spend a little bit of time on the outside if they so choose. And another guillotine here. Another guillotine onto Bryan Outlaw and a kick out at 1. I don't know how Bryan Outlaw is breathing after Seth Rollins curb stomped this man so many times. And another super kick as Bryan continues to fight back here. He's got 3 jailbreak DDTs in his back pocket. There's one. There's one. He's going to go up for another. Here's 2. No. Kevin Owens got out of the way of that one, but I believe Kevin Owens got busted open as well. 1, 2, and Bryan kicked out. Bryan kicked out. Oh no, Kevin Owens though. Kevin Owens looking to finish Bryan Outlaw. Pop-up powerbomb. 1. No! Bryan kicked out. Bryan kicked out of the pop-up powerbomb just like that at the count of 1. He's refusing to lose the title. I don't know if he knows this either, but like I mentioned, Kevin Owens is not the rightful owner of the lottery case. He may think this is a title match, and it technically is. But at the same time, Kevin Owens is not the rightful winner. And I think Bryan's had enough. He's had enough of the BS that he's been put through with Kevin Owens as he sends him in the corner and another chop. Where is he looking to send Kevin here? He's possibly looking to prop him up on the ropes here, but unable to prop him up on the ropes as Kevin Owens able to break out of it. Kevin Owens drops Bryan Outlaw just like that, and now Bryan Outlaw is back on the ground again. I'm afraid this could end in injury if it continues any further for Bryan. He's got to get this match over with here. Oh my God, he got his head dropped on his knee. There could be some really bad injuries here as Kevin Owens looks to hit it again. Kevin Owens. Another pop-up powerbomb. 1, 2, and no, Bryan kicked out again. Bryan kicked out again. Bryan kicked out of the powerbomb again. My God, Kevin Owens. He is absolutely frustrated right now, and he gets the win anyway. He gets the win off of a lackluster cover, as Bryan may have exerted all of his energy kicking out of that powerbomb, and Kevin Owens is the champion. Kevin Owens is the RCW World Champion, but I mentioned he is not the rightful winner. He is not the rightful winner. So what does this mean for the title? Does this mean it goes vacant? Does this mean it goes back to Bryan? Because technically, Kevin Owens is not the rightful winner. Like, even though, like I said, even though it was a title match, Ricochet was the one who won the case originally. But a lot of things are about to happen next episode, guys. So thank you guys so much for joining me for another episode of RCW Ravage Championship Wrestling. I am so happy to bring this to you. It's great being able to stream a little bit earlier, for sure. Because for one thing, obviously I have, I had to fiddle around with the streaming schedule simply because, I'm in college now. And even though that I am not, going in person, it's all over, Zoom and all that. There is a certain time where I have to be in Zoom. I essentially have to wait for my professors to send me the link to the meeting, join the meeting, and be in class for X amount of hours or whatever. And that can be difficult sometimes. It's difficult, one, simply because I'm more of a visual learner. I'm more of a hands-on learner. So for those people who are like me, watching a teacher do something through a computer screen isn't the most effective way. In fact, a couple of my professors, or I think one of them, said that he's not doing Zoom. Basically what he's doing is we still have that class, but he gives us some material on what's called Blackboard, which is a program in which teachers can contact students. They can post materials, post grades, pretty much everything. It's everything for them. A lot of teachers don't like using it because it doesn't work half of the time, which is understandable. But he's just posting the assignments. So basically how it works is we have a week to do them, and then we do them. The key is, a lot of people like to wait till last minute, but I've already gotten my assignment done for the week. We need to do discussion forums where we, to get an 89 to a 100, you have to do it on 4 different days throughout the week, and certain things like that. So, and it's short and sweet. It's 3 sentences, and they have to be well thought out. They can't just be thrown together, but they're short and sweet, 3 sentences. You get it done, and that's the thing. And you don't have to do anything for the rest of the week. If you get the unit quiz done, then you don't have to do anything. So The reason why I'm telling you guys this is because it highly affects my streaming schedule. So, I'm kind of flipping around. I will be streaming on Fridays. Fridays was a staple on the streaming schedule, so I will be streaming on Fridays. I want to try to stream on Tuesdays at 11 a.m. I'm going to try to stream on Fridays at 11 a.m. too as well. I'm going to keep it all the same. And I might find a third day of the week. But I like having set in stone times of the week to stream, because then that leaves me with time to do homework, and other things. Like I said, if something comes up and I can't stream for Tuesday or for Friday, I will let you guys know that. It is my last semester of college. I've been in college for 3 years. I've gone to one community college, transferred to another one, and with a different major. And I've been in college for 3 years. It is my last semester, and it feels so surreal because, one, this is not how I imagined my last semester would go, and two, it feels so surreal because, come December when it's all done and over with, all I have to wait for is May when I graduate, and hopefully we're in a better place in the world right now with the pandemic by next year. I know for my state, we're in a much better place than we were, and hopefully you guys are wearing your masks, and hopefully you're obeying whatever you need to obey. And I promise you that things will get better, and before you know it, we'll be doing all that fun stuff again. And just try to remain positive. I know how hard it is, but just try to remain positive as much as possible. And I love you guys, and I love bringing all this stuff to you guys. But thank you guys so much for joining me for another episode of RCW. I will see you guys on Friday for sure. I will let you know if I'll be streaming any other times this week. But I will definitely see you guys on Friday. If I don't see you guys before then stay safe, wear a mask, and follow whatever you need to follow. And before you know it, we'll be back doing fun stuff again. So thank you guys so much for being so supportive. Thank you guys so much for all the follows. Thank you, Rusev Day Ruled for the follow. Spiver for the follow. Thank you, Defixa for coming in. Thank you, Blind Hostility for coming in. Thank you, Natalia, for the follow. Here's a couple things here for you guys. Here is my Discord. There's my Discord. There's my website there too as well. Here's my YouTube, where you can check out all my wrestling content, including RCW. All the streams go on there a day after they get aired. So 24 hours after they're aired, which in this case today. So tomorrow, you'll see that up on the YouTube channel. They also go on my website as well. On my website, you can check out exclusive series like Sky's the Limit, where I take behind this a little bit of a backstory on Sky Outlaw and everything, and also Luna Outlaw's backstory as well. We're working on more awesome content for you guys. Check out the Angle podcast with my co-host Sakate and myself as we talk about wrestling, as well as Turnbuckle TV, which is co-hosted by me, and which I'm a co-host of, and it's my buddy Superfluid's podcast. He asked me if I wanted to do a wrestling podcast. I wanted to be a part of it, and we do watch-alongs. We do just about anything in wrestling, and this Saturday we'll be doing a watch-along for AEW All Out. So definitely be there for that. That's going to be awesome. Other than that, thank you guys for being awesome and just a bunch of badasses. Thank you guys so much, and I will catch you guys on another episode. This has been RCW. And I will catch you guys next time.